All right, hello everybody. Welcome to today's session. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to go ahead and start already. Thank you first of all, right, for joining me. I know this is one of our few last sessions for the day today. I hope you've been enjoying the conference and learning a lot. So I will be presenting on a platform called We Will Write. It does tailor to 1st through 5th grade, and it also goes all the way up to high school. So benefits everybody at this point, right? So just to introduce myself, I am Yesenia Resendes. I am a 4th grade bilingual teacher at Dodines Elementary. And I'm going to go ahead and begin my presentation. I did include the website to my presentation because I did include snippets, and I included a little screencastify video on there that you can refer to later so that you can know how to use it. And I've also linked the website and the join code that you'll be using today on there so you can refer back to it later. So if you're able to click on that link that I posted in the chat so you can follow along with me, that would be great. I did mention in the chat that if you do have another device, that would be great, right? Because I am going to have you all join the game with me. And that way you're able to see what's on my screen and you're able to see what's on the student screen and participate. If not, you're more than welcome to also split your screen if you're on your computer. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. So just a little bit about me, get to know your presenter. I am a dog mom to 3 labs. I have 1 chocolate lab, his name is Hunter, and I have 2 black labs, Jackie and Bella. I am a 4th grade teacher, love to travel as much as I can. And my coworkers know if you find me in the hallway, right? I'm probably laughing about something, right? Love to be laughing. And I promise you that my energy is not natural. It's actually chemically induced, right? By either a Celsius, right? Or multiple shots of espresso in my coffee, right? It's what I need to function on the daily. So if you relate to any of these, right, then we've already connected as your presenter today, right? And just something to, one of my favorite quotes, right, is a disfrutar cada momento porque la vida es una, right? Enjoy every moment because we only have one life, right? So in our good and our bad days, right, we need to find something to be grateful and happy about, right? Because we only get one life, so might as well enjoy it. All right, so the application that we will be learning about today is called We Will Write. It's to get our students excited about writing again. Something I've noticed in the past few years, right, is that our kids really struggle to start writing, right? They don't like it. They kind of get very discouraged to write. They don't you know, they don't produce the imagination that they need to write sometimes, and that could just be to several factors, right? In how the generations are very different now. So when I found this platform, and I tried it out with my kids, they actually got really, really excited. They would even ask me when we were going to do it again, right? Because it really sparked their imagination, and it was kind of low pressure because it was a game. So it was fun, right? It wasn't like a redundant task for them. So it engaged them and it got them motivated for their writing, and it just, you know, it gave them that jump start to show them that it is possible, right? That they do have the words that they need to express themselves. You know, they just need to have some fun with it. So this is their mission. So it says, we are on a mission to help teachers create a social and safe environment where students can practice writing through play. Our goal is to create experiences that get students and teachers excited together and spark their passion for writing in a social way. When students enjoy learning, they engage more effectively and are better prepared for whatever the future holds. So a fun fact about We Will Write is that the founder, right, or the maker of it is the one is whoever founded Kahoot, right? So if your kids enjoy the Kahoot experience, right, it's going to look very similar to this, but for writing, right? So I think that's also a very good balance that you'll be able to introduce. You'll be like, okay, we're going to play a game. It's going to be a writing game, right? And I think that's enough to get the kids kind of like, oh, cool. You know, we're going to play a game and we're going to have to write. So the benefits of using We Will Write in the classroom is one, they get to write individually, and it is anonymous. I know a lot of the times the kids get kind of shy or discouraged because they feel like, oh, everybody's going to see what I'm writing, and what if it's not good enough, right? Or they compare themselves to their peers. Well, in We Will Write, it leaves them anonymous, which is really, really nice, right? So it encourages safe and fear-free participation, boosting engagement and reducing anxiety. They are able to read in groups, which I love, right? I know we group our kids and or we partner them up. So there is a part of the game where they get to read the responses to one another, and then they're able to work on voting for their favorite prompt. So it gives them the ability to peer assess and reflect together and collaborate. And then you as a teacher get to jump in towards the end as well. And you get to evaluate and debrief and have those turn and talk with your class. So it promotes a lot of SIP strategies as well. So you're basically blending all 4 domains with this app, which is something I really loved, right? You're blending the listening, the speaking, the reading, and the writing, which can be very, very beneficial for TELPAs, right? And so you're going to notice throughout today's session that there is a variety of prompts that, one, either tailor to TELPAs prompts, or 2, they even allow us to create nonfiction and argumentative responses, which are good for our students, right, that are practicing the extended constructed responses or the short extended responses for a STAR, right? So I did leave the Screencastify video on the website that I shared with you. That's just so you can go ahead and refer back to later on your own. I am going to go ahead and go through the platform with you right now. So I will talk about how there is a free version, and the prompts are labeled basic. And there's a good amount that you can get through on the basic version, right? But then if you sign up for the premium one, and I'll discuss the pricing later, right? And that's just going to be definitely up to you if it's something you feel you can use consecutively in your classroom. The premium version has a decent pricing, in my opinion, right? But if you're just going to use the free version, you would see just the basic prompts as is right here on the screen. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So when you go to We Will Write, this will be your main screen, right? And you'll see the different text. Right now, I have a month free, right? I went ahead and I signed up for it. So the very first time that you sign up for We Will Write, you get 1 month free. So I highly, highly recommend that you do not sign up for We Will Write today. I recommend that you sign up for the application when you're ready to start using it with your classroom and your students, so that way you're able to get all the free benefits within that month, right? So do not sign up for it yet is my feedback right now. Wait until you're ready to start using it. The presentation today anyways will show you what the premium looks like. So when you go to your find area, you're able to select prompts that students can write about based on genre, based on topic, based on the grade level you want to target, your type, and of course, how long you want your writing session to last. So the 2 genres that you get to choose from are fiction or nonfiction. You can also choose between a variety of topics. The topics are endless from A through Z. So if you notice, these are some of your topics. You have advertising, climate and environment, making decisions, dilemmas, everyday life, life with technology, my life, my choice, role model, school, summer, and it just goes with different themes and stuff that are important for kids to write about. And then this is where you can select your grade levels. So you do have the lower elementary, 1 through 3rd grade. You have your upper elementary, 4th through 5th. your middle school 6 to 8, and your high school 9 to 12. So you're going to want to select, right, the grade level that you're trying to target. And then earlier I did 4th through 5th. Right now I'm going to go ahead and put the 1st through 3rd. Kind of curious to see that since I'm not in the lower grades, I'm in the upper grades. So, and if you notice, you can choose your type. You can choose appeal, you can choose convince, explain, or reflect. So I love this because it allows you to kind of check if like, for example, one of your responses is to explain something or to convince someone about something, you can tailor it to those types of topics. I'll go ahead and choose one of the convincing ones, see what they have. And then just to talk about the duration here. So I know it does say up to 25 minutes, 25, 40, or over 40. That's only if you decide to use the entire set. So when you click on these, it's going to give you a set of writing prompts that they can write about that go according to the topic or theme. Not necessary. What I would do is choose one topic within that theme, right? And maybe every single day you can stick to that theme. For example, like maybe you're talking about like in the like one of these that says big animals. Let's say you're having a theme on animals that week because your passage is about animals or it's about climate or environment. You can say, you know what, every single day we're going to do one of these prompts because each prompt is only 3 to 4 minutes long. So it could easily be like the entry ticket to your writing. Or you could say, you know what, I'm going to do the entire text at the end of the week on Friday because all we've done is discuss this all week. So the kids should have a lot of information about it already. So on Friday, I'm going to give them the entire text and I'm going to give them the 25 to the 40 minutes to write, right? So it all really is how you decide to use the text. So I'm going to go ahead and just click this first one, my favorite hobby. And if you notice, this is what I mean by this is your theme, and then this is your text that come with it. So it's a complete set. But like I said, you do not have to do each, or you don't have to do the entire set in one day. So for example, let's say today's Monday, right? And you say, hey, I only want to do one of these. I want to introduce the hobby and make the reader want to learn more. I'm going to go ahead and take this one off and this one off. That way the kids only get this prompt. And then you can either say, you know what, I wanted 3 minutes, I wanted 3 minutes and 30 seconds, I wanted 4 minutes, right? And then you just choose your time. And then you go ahead and start and launch your text or your theme. So if you notice, it gives you a little bit of a detailed explanation of what this theme is about. And it says, my favorite hobby. It says, this set was made in partnership with Book Creator. And it says that it's a way to kickstart your students' writing journey for Tell Your Story personal narrative. So this is more about it. This is more narrative writing that the kids would be doing in this themed topic text. So then I'm not going to jump into the game just yet. I just want to finish explaining the platform a little bit more to you all. So this is something how the snippets of We Will Write and how it works. So if you notice, they have something called join.wewillwrite.com. So it's very similar to when you do the Kahoot. I know like for Kahoot, they put kahoot.it. Well, for this one, they would go to join.wewillwrite.com and they would put in their code. And then it will put them into teams. So then it says that students are grouped into teams as they log in to start their writing challenge, and then the writing is done individually. So this still gives the students an opportunity to be writing on their own, right? So because like I know that we promote a lot of group work or we promote a lot of, you know, students working together, but if the student, at the end of the day, the student is going to have to write on their own, right? So this allows them to say, hey, you know what, right now I'm working individually. Right now I'm, you know, going through productive struggle. I'm doing it on my own. And then the grouping and the debriefing and all of that happens later on in the game. So they write on their own. And then the teacher's board is the picture. It's the picture and the prompt that they're supposed to write about. So the kids are looking at the teacher's board to see the picture and the prompt, right? And then on their computer, they have the typing area where they're typing or writing about what's on the screen. So this is just kind of what it looks like, which is why I asked you all that if you had another device, that would be great so that you can see the teacher screen and then you can see your student screen and participate. If not, like I said, you can split your screen later on when we start the game. So then after everybody's done writing, you have read and assess. And the computer basically gives them text that they're gonna read everybody's text, right? They're gonna get everybody's text from the class that they wrote, and then they're gonna vote, right? So this is where the kids kind of get to talk to one another and use those SIF strategies, and they get to talk to each other and read it to each other and kind of say like, hey, you know what, like this one sounds really good. Like I think it's answering the question. It's including figurative language or it's including adjectives, right? Whatever it is that you asked your kids to include in their writing, this is where they get to kind of read and assess based off of that rubric that you give them of the topic that you chose, right? So they're reading, they're assessing, they're checking to see, hey, you know what, this was a good one. We like it. I think that's the one we're going to vote for, right? So then they vote for it. They vote for their favorite text. This is what the kids see on their end. So they get to see the text side by side and they vote, right? They vote on their favorite text or the text that showed them what it was that they were supposed to be looking for. And so this is kind of the time where I kind of tell the kids, because I know our kids they tend to get excited when they're playing games, right? Or they might like who they're sitting with because that's their partner and that's their friend, right? And they usually vote for their friends, right? And so this is where I kind of stop and I tell them, hey, no, this is what you're looking for in their writing. You're looking for adjectives, or you're looking for sensory language, or you're looking for did they answer the question adequately? You know, you're looking for that. So that way they vote for a text that is logical, right? They vote for a text that is actually written the way it's supposed to be written. So then after the votes have been casted, the screen actually shares 3 of the best responses that were voted for. And this is where the teacher comes in. So this is where the teacher reads those 3 texts, right? And you debrief. So this is where you get to, again, include those 5 strategies and you get to tell your students, hey, well, why did you guys like this text? What was it about it that caught your attention, right? You can ask them, how could I better develop this? What are some ideas that the student could add to this text, right? You could ask them, okay, well, what are some corrections they could make? What could they have added here? What could they have taken away here, right? And so at this point, the kids they're engaged, they're discussing, they're sharing ideas. So they're feeding off of each other and getting that peer feedback, right? And they're getting all of that collaborative learning getting done. By this point, I feel like the kids have already forgotten that they're writing, right? Because they're having so much fun discussing and improving the text that they just wrote about. So then after that, after you debrief and you talk about the texts that were chosen, you go one last time and they vote for the one that was like the best, right? And after they vote for the one that's the best, of course, that's your winner, right? Whoever it is that wrote that text is the winner, right? And then at the end, you're able to view all the student prompt responses and the amount of words they were able to write as a class. So you could even do this, like turn it into a little bit of a goal for them and be like, okay, well, today, last week we only wrote 500 words. So today or tomorrow, we're going to aim for 700. And then the next day, we're going to aim for 1,000, right? So you can use this as a goal and say, okay, like as a class, like we need to keep writing. We need to brainstorm more. We need to include more writing. And this will show them, oh, look, we beat our goal from last time, right? Because it'll show you how many words they wrote together as a class. So then my last and favorite thing about it is after they finish this, it actually saves their responses. So it saves what every student wrote. Here I blurted out the kids' names, right, for privacy, but it gives you what each student wrote in each topic or text that you assigned to them. So what I did was I downloaded all their student responses, right, and I gave them a copy of their writing. And I said, okay, this is like your rough draft, right? So I told them, now based off your rough draft, how can you keep elaborating your writing and what corrections can you make to it based off of what we debriefed as a class? So by this point, the kids are kind of like, okay, well, I already got something going, right? I've already explored and I brainstormed. I have enough information to actually write. So by this point, they don't feel discouraged anymore. They kind of are like, okay, I already got started. I already have ideas. My peers were giving me feedback about what I could add, what could I develop. Um, Now I can actually form a full and final draft, right? So I love it because now you have something concrete. Now you can take what was supposed to be used as technology, you can take it back to paper, right? Print it and have the kids have a concrete version of their rough draft so that they're able to peer review, edit, correct, and start forming their final draft. So it's really, really nice. So like I mentioned earlier, you're able to sign up and get 1 month free. Like I said, I would hold off on signing up until you're ready to use it with your class so you can get the full benefit of the premium. Now, if you do decide, hey, I really love this, my kids were super into it, I don't think the pricing is bad at all, right? So they do have a $9 a month one, and then they do have a $60 a year now. So if you think about the $60 a year one, that's actually cheaper. It's like $5 a month. The only thing that I believe is you have to pay the $60 upfront for that one. I think that's how it works there. Um, so it's really neat. So I think one of my favorite things about premium, besides the fact that you get everything, right? You get all of the text, is that it allows you to create your own content. So let's say there's an article that was assigned in the curriculum or that was given to you or that you said, oh, I'm really going to use this today. You can actually upload the contents of that article with the questions you want them to brainstorm about and even add like vivid images and pictures that would go with your article so that the kids can get kind of excited to write about it. So that's an option that you might have in case you do really love this platform. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and get you all to join with me. Like I said, I wouldn't sign up yet, right? But I am going to give you a little bit of time here to go to join.wewillwrite.com. And I'm going to go ahead and start looking for the game session that I'm going to launch with you all. This is a good time to ask any questions in the chat. I will be looking through my chat right now to answer any questions you might have about the platform. Other than that, if you are able to go to join.wewillwrite.com, that would be great. That way we can get the fun started with We Will Write. All right. I'm hoping everybody is already on the join.wewillwrite.com. I am going to go ahead and launch one of the sessions. So I'm going to go ahead and do this first one right here. I did it earlier, and I got some really creative and cool responses from everybody that joined. So I'm kind of curious to see how this goes. So this one is called Classroom Chronicles. It's actually listed for the first to third graders. So your first, second, and third grade kiddos can actually probably engage in this very nicely. And it says kick off the year by reflecting on the first day of school and building a sense of belonging. Practice writing from different points of view through fun, relatable dialogue, storytelling, and informational pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. So if you notice, I'm not going to have you all do the entire text, right? I'm only going to have you all do this one. So that's the only one that I have checked off. And then it says, if they could talk, what would they say? And then it says, write their conversation. So something I like is that when you click on the little waffle on the side, it gives you a little bit of entry questions that you can ask them before you even launch the app. So this could be like a little entry ticket. It could be something that they discuss. You can probably give them 2 minutes to discuss and say, what do you guys think? Do you think these two backpacks, are they friends or rival? Is one shy or is one bold? What do they think about homework and snacks? And then it kind of shows them what it's supposed to say. Like, are you awake, Blue? So the entire gist of this is to get the kids to write in dialogue, right? So if you're trying to get the kids to have dialogue in their writing and you want to teach them a fun way to do this, this is one way, right? So you get to kind of give the kids a little bit of like, okay, like this is what you want to think about. Before we start writing, talk to your friends for 2 minutes. Do you think the backpacks are friends or do you think they're rivals? Or would one of them be shy or one of them's really outspoken? What do you think? Right? You can tell them, what do you think they're thinking about their homework or their snacks inside of their backpacks? Right? So they're little conversations you can have with them before you even launch it. And that's already getting them excited because what prompt, right, gives you two little backpacks with googly eyes, right? And now they have to talk to each other. So at this point, the kids probably think it's funny, it's cute, like they're already super engaged, right? So then I'm going to go ahead and start it for you all. And I hope you can get as creative as possible with me. All right, so your pin is going to be 123001. So like I mentioned before, if you're able to split your screen, that would be great. So you can see what I have on my side. And so you can see your student view. Or if you have two devices, right? That way you can have the student, so you can type, and that way you can see the picture and the image to kind of inspire you and get your imagination flowing on the other side. I do need at least 3 students to start the game. So if I could just have multiple participants, please, so that we can, have a successful turnout and you all can see what it looks like for the kids. That would be fantastic, please. This won't be an issue, right, for you all, because of course, you're going to have a classroom full of kids, right? So, but it does say that, that you must have 3 kids to start, and that if you start with fewer than 9 students, the remaining spots will be filled with robots. So I guess it throws in an AI there with some extra responses. So that way there's enough debriefing to do. So, but of course, this won't be an issue in the classroom since, of course, for the most part, we have more than 9 kids, right? All right, I'm going to go ahead and start. So if you notice, it says here, start with 3 teams. And it says, since you're starting with 4 students, they're going to add 5 robots, right? All right, and so here puts them into teams, right? So this is what keeps it very anonymous. Can't see who's actually writing what. All right, and it says, if they could talk, what would they say? Write their conversation. And it says that this is an imaginative text, so you want to include a lot of imagination in your writing. All right, go ahead and begin. All right, and so this is where the kids would have their self-assessment. So this is a good time for your kids to talk to one another and their partners and their groups, right? Where they can read the prompts to one another and talk about it and say, okay, hey, I think I like this one. Let's vote for it. Or you could also have them do this individually, right? It all really just depends on how collaborative you want to be with the app. But they choose and they vote for the best prompt, right? All right, and then it says that the team's most imaginative texts are ready. And then this is where you come in as the teacher, right? And you are actually going to be able to read aloud the team's text. And this is where you can stop and say, okay, we're going to debrief as a class and we're going to discuss how could this be better? What could they have added? What do you like about it? What is it that caught your attention, right? And so these are all things that, this is all the part where you get to be collaborative and discuss, get feedback from the kids. And so they're doing all this listening, they're doing all this speaking and reading to one another. And so it's just building all that confidence to be able to write something really, really good. I did like this feature because it tends to happen, right? Sometimes the kids are not really paying attention to what they're reading when they're assessing, right? Or they took too long to click on something, so it didn't vote, or I accidentally misclicked it, or something like, they'll be like, it's because I know that one my friend wrote it, so I'm going to vote for it, right? And that's not what you want, right? You want them to choose texts that are actually really, really good. So I like that it has the feature to replace the text. So let's say you click on the text, right? And you're like, okay, pues the kid really didn't, like do whatever it is that they were supposed to do. But then you can go and you can replace it, right? I'm not going to replace anything right now. I'm going to go ahead and read it. Read what it is that we voted for, right? So this is where you come in as a teacher, and it says, read aloud. It says, you see that pencil? I bit it, Yellow said. Backpacks don't got teeth. Well, I do now. That's weird, dude. And then it says, how could this be developed? So then that's where the kids come in. You can say, okay, what do you think they could have added to this, boys and girls? What could they have, how could they have made it more descriptive? Right. And so if you notice, the app also detects the type of speech that they use. So it detected direct speech, which is great. That's what you wanted, dialogue, right? And it also detected adjectives. So it detected that vivid, imaginatory language that they needed to be writing. Then you have B. Hello, my name is Blue. What is your name? Are you ready for the school year? How much school supplies do you have in there? Do you have a lunch bag inside of you also? I can't wait to go back home and relax. And then, of course, again, you would ask them, okay, how do you think we can make this text better, boys and girls? Or what could we have added to it? Or could we add more adjectives? What could be best described, right? And you just want to keep those conversations flowing with them, because at some point they're going to have to write their final draft, and it's getting them exposed to knowing that those are things that they need to add. Then our last one, C, says, another thrilling day of being sat on and ignored, muttered Blue. At least your person doesn't cram banana peels inside you, Yellow replied. Oh, the aroma of education. Did you hear her say, I'm so done? Yellow asked. Yeah, she's been done since October. If I had legs, I'd walk out, Yellow said. Same, Blue answered, but alas, we're stitched to the system. The bell rang, they groaned together. And if you notice, this student has dialogue, it has personification, and it has idioms in it. So this is where you kind of discuss with your students, right? Like, look, boys and girls, look at all the figurative language that this student used. That's the type of writing that you want to develop. And so by this point, the kids are already getting a general understanding of, oh, this is how I'm supposed to write, right? And it keeps the pressure off of like, I know that it was so-and-so who wrote it. Of course they wrote it because they're the one. No, you don't know who wrote this, right? For all we know, it's some random kid that you've probably never heard speak in your class, right? But maybe through writing, they're very expressive, right? So it keeps it anonymous, and the kids don't have that pressure of knowing who wrote it, and they know, oh, okay, this is how I'm supposed to write. This is how developed my writing should look like. So then you talk about it, you debrief, the kids decide, and then they vote for a final best text. And then it gives you the result. And orange, right, is our winner, right? Because that's the student who wrote and expressed themselves using multiple uses of figurative language, etc., right? Probably was the most imaginative, probably included the most dialogue, right? And then it says 266 words is what you wrote. And then I like this because you could kind of set a goal for your kids and say, okay, boys and girls, today we wrote 266. Tomorrow, let's aim for 350. The next day, let's aim for 400, right? Let's try to keep writing more. The more we write, the more, we're going to achieve our goal of so-and-so words, right? And so this kind of gets the kids motivated to say, okay, I need to include more. I need to think more. I need to add more. Like I know some of our kids, they get very complacent on like, oh, with one sentence, one basic sentence, that's enough. No, because the more you add, the more descriptive you are, the more elaborate and more details you have, the better your writing is, right? So then once you exit, right, it just brings you back to the next platform. And then if you notice, this is where you can get your student text to download. I actually didn't show this on the last session, but it is actually very, the platform's pretty easy to navigate. There's not a lot going on in there. But if you go here, that's where you can download the responses. And if you download the responses, it'll show you what everybody wrote. It'll show you the student who wrote it, right? And then you can print them, right? You can print them so that you can give them to your kids, and that way your kids are able to use them to develop their final drafts or and continue writing based off what they already wrote, right? And so just to conclude my session today, I do have a little reflection question that if you'd like to participate in the chat, you're more than welcome to. So how can you embed We Will Write into your classroom setting to engage students in writing? Like I said, I think this is a perfect opportunity to use for TELPAS. I did notice that a lot of the prompts on here have them be very detailed and very elaborate. They make them really describe things. There is a lot of personal narrative questions as well. I think I even saw one as well where they have to write the beginning of a story or the middle of a story or the ending of a story, which is also a common TELPAS prompt. So it's very useful for that. I think that's what inspired me to start using this platform in general. But then I saw the nonfiction, and I thought that was really cool for writing our extended constructed responses and our short responses. And then when I saw that you could convince or that you could explain, I was even more sold, right? Because I was like, that's what the kids are doing, right? And they usually struggle to write anything in general, right? So doing it in this way, using technology, right? And then they see the image and the image looks fun and it looks vivid. They kind of really get excited to start writing again. And so I really think that's very useful in your classrooms. I even think first and second grade, it really teaches your kids to be more detailed and more expressive in their sentences. That way, when they get to third and fourth and fifth, right, they know that their sentences can't just be basic sentences, right? They need to be detailed and expressive and elaborate, right? So that way they enjoy writing, right? So if we get them started at a young age, I think it'll be something that they truly see, oh, I'm capable. I am capable of doing this. I need to be engaged, right? So engagement is super important, and that's something we always want to remember. And I feel like this app really targets everything that you need for, anything that you might need in the classroom. So if you have any questions, this would be a perfect time to go ahead and add them in the chat for me. I will take a few minutes to answer any questions that you all might have. Feel free to ask me in the chat, like I said, any questions, or throughout the year, if you have any questions, you can email me at yesenia.resendes.psjisd.us. And I just really want to thank everybody for joining me today. Thank you for those who participated in the game with me. And just for being a part of this session. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope it's something that you're able to use in your classroom and that your kids really love. I know mine did. So anything that you might need, go ahead and let me know. I'll go ahead and stick around for a few more minutes to answer any questions. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day.